guys. Welcome to Towel Talk. My name is Dr. Baron Shaw, co-founder of Limitless Sports Medicine. We're creating this podcast just to talk about, in general, PT-related questions, exercise-based questions, best recovery practices, things like that for all of our athletic individuals out there. I'm with Andrew today, who's another PT with us, and we're just gonna chat while we're folding some towels. Kind of the water cooler of the PT world is folding towels, so we're gonna dive right into it. I think today you mentioned that you had a client talk about some HEP issues.
Yeah, so today I was talking to someone about doing their home exercise program, and one question I get from folks often is, do I really need to do these exercises at home? Why can't I just come in and do PT with you 2-3 times a week? And I generally will tell them, well, folks that do their home exercise program, they're the ones that are going to get better faster. They're the ones that they know which exercises are actually working for them and which ones are not working for them. But when they don't do them, then we're kind of at a standstill, because each time I come in, we're starting from square one.
Yeah.
Did you do your home exercises? No, I didn't. Why not? I forgot. Okay. Do you remember any of them? No. All right. So now we're doing session one all over again. And that's extremely frustrating for the patient too, because they're not going to get the results that they want as soon as they want. So how do you normally, I guess, explain that or break that down for folks?
Yeah, I mean, we work with a lot of youth athletes, so I tell them we're only in here for an hour or two every week. There's a whole lot of time outside of here that you need to be doing some of these things to actually drive change, right? When you're talking about exercise prescription, making functional changes to the way you move, to your muscle quality, strength, integrity, etc., it takes a lot longer than 1 or 2 hours. So, like you said, if they're not sticking with their exercises, even if they don't tell us they're not doing it, it's very clear when they come back in and they're still doing the exact same exercises or can't get the proper form down, or they can't lift heavier than what they were doing previously.
Yeah. Or my favorite is when I go, so you've been doing your home exercises? Yeah. Can you show me? Yeah.
All
right. Well, let's see it.
It's time now.
Well, which one do you want to see?
What's it called again?
Wait,
which one's
what
that
do you
one?
mean, which one? You know,
I thought you
there's
said you were
only
doing
3
these.
of them
Yeah.
that I gave you because it was just after the first session. You didn't in there. Well, okay, I didn't do them.
Yep.
Just like, all right, well, let's go over them again. But you did mention one thing that I thought was like very key is in regards to managing expectations too. So like, it's gonna take more than just coming in here 3 times, 2 times a week. It's gonna take you doing it outside of here. Not only is it gonna take you doing it outside of here, it's gonna take sometimes weeks, months, depending on what's going on.
Yep.
I have someone right now, total knee replacement, and she's kind of at that 2-month mark, and I'm trying to like manage expectations with her. Like, hey, you gotta give yourself a little grace. Like, this is gonna take a little while.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna happen in a month, you know? Like, this kind of thing takes time.
Yep. I'll usually dive into with HEPs talking about tissue healing times. Is, hey, we know no matter what I'm doing to you, overall, your progress is gonna be kind of restricted by our physiology, by our inherent biology. Soft tissues, typically 4 to 6 weeks. Bones, 6 to 8 weeks, and that's in a perfect environment in your body. So if you are perfectly healthy, don't have any other comorbidities, no other issues, you're eating well, you're sleeping well, you're hydrating well, in a perfect world, that's your timeline. So no matter what is going on, that's the kind of timeline that we're talking about for healing. And kind of going back to the exercise adherence, you know, all the research shows now 3 to 5 exercises is all we should be giving people, because outside of that, they're not going to stick to it. So also understanding human psychology, knowing that if I give them 10, 12 things, they're going to look at it, and the same thing we do with our task list. Oh, my to-do list 15 long. I'll do that later. And that's what the same thing those home exercise programs turn into, is that honey-do list. You know what? I have time for squats, but I don't have time for the other 11, so I'm just going to put the whole thing away. And I'm going to go sit back on the couch, or I'm going to go back and pop the ibuprofen and keep going. You know, so it's important to kind of understand that as well. Is, hey, 3 to 5 exercises is all you want to give them. That way they can stick to it. And I usually tell my patients, break it up. If you can't do it all at once, it's okay. Do 5 or 10 reps in the morning, pick 2 or 3. Next, time slot that you got, pick 1 or 2 new exercises, 5 or 10 reps of that. And that way you're moving throughout the day as well.
Yeah.
You're not moving all at once in the morning and then doing nothing for the rest of the day again.
Yeah.
Because life doesn't happen like that. We're constantly up, we're down, we're moving, we're out, we're about. So,
And I think
for sure,
choosing the right frequency too when you tell people,
big time.
which it's interesting because it depends on the person. Athlete comes in, sometimes depending on the athlete, if you tell them do these every day, they're going to come back and say, I did them every day 3 times.
Right. Yep.
Because I want to get back to.
Oh, we did it, yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well,
we just wanted it once.
I just wanted you to do it one time, versus if you tell someone that maybe they're not really big into exercise, they're a little bit older, hey, can you do these daily? That might be a little bit of a chore. So breaking it up, like you said, is like such a good way to get people to adhere and like be compliant. But then also not being afraid, I think sometimes to tell someone, do these 4 times a week.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Let's start there.
Yeah. We do it all the time. We're a cash-based clinic, so everything we tell clients is, hey, yeah, we can adjust to the frequency, everything if you've got financial constraints, whatever. But understand that if we start hitting roadblocks to your progress, it could be because we're not addressing intensity enough. We're not addressing the amount of times it's happening, the frequency of the activity itself. So we have to also take that all into consideration as well. As like you're saying, hey, we can start here, but if you can't do this minimum amount, we're never going to see a change.
Exactly.
It's always going to kind of be this kind of constant struggle.
Yeah.
And like you said, like our interviews with our clients are the biggest driver for even HEPs, the most basic fundamental part of PT, because they'll tell us with their looks, with how their body language is you say, I want you to do this 4 times a week, they're going to stiffen up and start, they'll kind of clench their fists. Yeah, you start seeing the anxiety immediately.
Start sweating.
Yeah. So then you can tell them hey, okay, that seems like that might be a problem.
Yeah.
Tell me more about your day-to-day schedule. Hey, I've got 4 kids at home. I take care of everything. I'm a single mom. Okay, cool. Hey, let's start with 1 time every other day. Can we do that? It's almost like finding, kind of meeting them where they're at and then kind of coaching them along. Part of what we do is that coaching process. We can't just throw exercises at people and say, hey, do this 3 times a week, 10 times, and you're going to be better. Yeah. It's also understanding, hey, there's other life factors that are involved in this, and how do we guide you from where you're at now to where you want to be in the future? Yeah. So, for sure.
And that's the other thing, too, that I try to express to people when they get started, that interview process, like you're saying, and being able to go, okay, reading the room a little bit, understanding this person's background, understanding what you can throw at them, giving them like those cues are teaching them along the way too. So then that way they're not feeling like super overwhelmed. Because I remember going to PT like as a patient and being like, okay, what's gonna happen? What do they need me to do? What's gonna happen? PT comes in, looks at my knee, does a couple of things. Here's these exercises. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do these 100 times. To the point where I'm getting sore, my knee's swollen all the time. And I'm talking to the PT and the PTA, and they're going, well, how often are you doing this? It's like, I do this every day. They're like, you do all of these exercises every day.
They're not expecting it. Yeah.
Every exercise we do in your sessions, you do them every day? I go, yeah. And the days that you come in, do you do? Yeah, I do them again at the gym.
Later, yeah.
And then, so it's like, actually taking the time to really like hear and see that person when you do the interview, so you can kind of pick up on that kind of stuff. Like, is this the person that's getting scared, or is this the person that's kind of looking at the exercises going, well, are you gonna do, can I do that one too? Can I do this? Can I add this?
I'm gonna do 5.
Can I do a little bit more? That seems kind of easy. Can we, and knowing who you're dealing with, I think makes a huge difference, which that's why I like the model that we have here. Yeah. Because I have the time to be able to do that with someone.
Explain everything.
And explain, pick up on those things, pick up on the patient and like their personality, versus being somewhere where you're like just seeing tons of people back to back to back.
Standard photocopied exercise, Oh, back pain. Here's our back pain handout. Knee pain. Here's your knee pain handout.
Here you go. It's just all efficiency based and like not really based on patient care.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not individualized at all.
Yeah, and kind of going back to what you're talking about with HEP structure and function with some of those go-getters, we have a lot of athletes that have personal trainers and skills coaches and school athletics and club athletics. So now you're talking about them training 7 days a week. So
Yeah.
our programming is going to look different for that athlete than the recreational athlete that goes, hey, I play once a week. I play pickleball on Saturdays and that's it. That programming is going to look a lot different than, hey, I'm a, sophomore football quarterback. I'm training 7 days a week. I have a skills coach for quarterbacking, and I've got a strength and conditioning coach for speed and agility and power. Okay, that exercise program is going to look like, hey, I'm giving you 1 or 2 things. That's it. Whereas pickleball, you're getting 3 or 4 things because you're not doing anything outside of here. So,
I think that's a good point to kind of elaborate on a little bit too, just because of the amount of athletes that you've worked with, and having to balance between their strength and conditioning coach, their regular sports team that they're on, any other outside training that they're getting, and then also trying to make time for, they're doing their PT exercises and what stuff you're usually giving people in that scenario. Sometimes it may not be we need to strengthen this area.
Right.
They may be very strong,
right,
but it could be a proprioception thing. So then those 2 exercises that you're choosing may be very specific to the proprioception, because if you give them the laundry list of stuff, they're not going to have time to get to it.
Exactly. Even if they wanted to, they're physically not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. We'll check and see with all of our baseline testing, okay, where is your deficit? Is it actually strength? Is it mobility? Is it a coordination issue? Is it a balance or proprioception issue? There's so many different factors into movement that we can't just free form go, oh, here's your back pain handout, because that's never going to work.
Yeah.
Some people can get away with it, right? Just like a one-size-fits-all t-shirt. Some people are going to look great in it. 90% of them aren't going to look good in it, and no one's going to use it, right?
Yeah.
So same thing with our programming. We kind of individualize it based on everything that we're seeing and everything that they're doing outside of here. A lot of times we'll also chat with their other trainers, and we'll ask hey, can we get in touch with these guys? Can you put us in touch with them so that way we can communicate? Because again, if you're seeing your strength coach 4 days a week, cool. Hey, strength coach, can you add in these 1 or 2 cues? Can you change 1 or 2 things about the exercises that you're already doing? And now we've accomplished both goals. You're still doing all your training. You haven't missed out on anything, and you've incorporated your rehab. Now we haven't added to your caseload or your workload, essentially. So it's and we're thankful to have a good network in the community of personal trainers, physicians, everyone that we can kind of work with and chat with to guide amongst all these youth athletes, for sure. Yep.
I mean, that makes a huge difference when you have that community around the athletes coming in. You have access to doc, you have access to the trainers, the coaches, and so everyone's on the same page. Because I know working in other settings where I didn't have that, it's well, you have all this stuff going on. We can work on it in here, but then when I see you, you just got out of practice,
right?
Or you're about to go to practice, and the type of PT that I need to do with you is probably you're gonna be a little sore afterwards.
You don't want to go to practice after this.
You're probably not going to want to go to practice. And so can we figure out how to get you on a day that you're not going to practice? Or can I figure out what movements and exercises are you doing? Can I get a hold of the coach? And then it's kind of hard to. So then I'm left with, okay, well, what are the things that are going to not aggravate stuff?
Yeah.
So you're just putting fires out with the home exercise program more so than
back to baseline.
Hey, or you're waiting until the off season, right?
Yeah.
So you're just putting fires out until the off season, and then, okay, now we can kind of get after it. So having that direct contact makes such a huge difference. So then that way the home exercise program and whatever they're doing can kind of mesh together, and then you're not just putting fires out, they're getting better. They can just go back to doing the activity at a high level.
Yeah. And we, kind of going back to what you touched on is